Finally, we are here for the start of the 22-23 season. Wolves are going to be going to Ellen Road to take on Leeds United. My name is Dave, and as you can see alongside me today, we've got Conor from the One Leeds fan channel. Conor, how you keeping, man?
Yeah, not bad, mate. It's we're just talking off air, weren't we? And don't know how I feel about it being back. To be honest with you, it's never smooth sailing, and I just want it to. I want to be a boring club in the Premier League, Dave. That's all I want, mate. So yeah, if we can have that this season, that'd be sound away. But yeah, I'm all right, mate. Are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good. Thank you for coming on once again, Conor. Obviously, the start of the season is so nervous, so scary, because especially in Leeds, and I would say in Wolves' case as well, we just don't know what we're going to expect throughout this season. And the opening game of the season, where the nerves kick in for probably the team and obviously the fans as well. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. Before we get into the nitty gritty, though, obviously, followers of Talking Wolves from last season will remember that we were partnered with Betmate, as were One Leeds fan channel, and once again we've partnered up with them again for the start of the 22-23 season. So if you weren't aware, last season it is a fantasy football type game where you'll pick 7 players that you'll think will perform best in Saturday's game, and it's not just based on goals, assists, there's tackles, clean sheets, interceptions, all sorts in there. So if you want to read more, I'll make sure to leave a link at the top of the description. There's an exclusive Leeds versus Wolves game that you can get involved in, £3 to enter, and there's a minimum prize pool of at least 200 quid. Conor, I've got your team, your, let's say, provisional team, because obviously you could change it right up until kickoff. What team have you gone with for this game?
So let me just get it up for you. So I've gone with Melee in net. I've gone with our new signing, which I know doesn't ring around with a lot of Wolves fans when I say new signing there, Dave. Christensen. We've got Pascal Strauchin at centre back as well. I've had to go with 6 Leeds players because I've got my non-bias head on. We've got Rocker as well and Aronston, the 2 new boys in midfield. We've got Bamford as captain. And we've gone with Hwang. We've gone with Hwang because of the Jimenez tribulation. So yeah, mate.
Yeah.
That's mine at the minute.
Well,
yeah.
that's one tip I would say for anybody that is new to Betmate. I think to do well, you have to go very heavy on a particular team or the team you think are going to be favourite. I've sort of done the same as you, but obviously as expected, the opposite side. My team is Sarr in goal, Johnny and Aït-Nouri at the back, Podence and Gibbs White as my midfielders, and I've gone with Bamford and Neto as my 2 forwards as well.
Gibbs White, that's
yeah,
interesting. So you're going to be changing that one then?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's wait and see. But for new users, if you haven't already, if you enter TW5 at sign up, you'll get £5 free bet once you enter a paid game. And like I said, 18 plus, UK residents only, and please gamble aware. But Conor, let's get into the preview now. Leeds United pre-season is pretty much done and dusted. What did Leeds get up to? Where were they at, and how did they get on?
We decided to venture over to Australia, Dave, again, which is always interesting. They enjoy doing that. Obviously, Leeds have got a big fan base down there. Villa were down there as well. Palace, I think Man United were down there as well. But yeah, so I mean, it's good because the Aussie fan base get to see, what's going on, all this sort of stuff. But I just think sometimes the travel's a little bit unnecessary, but it's financial, isn't it? So, I mean, we had a game before that at home to Blackpool where we stuck 4 past them. We looked very, very good. We didn't let them breathe, really. And this is all about, the new system with Jesse Marsch, which we're all getting used to a little bit now. He's honing his system. He's really been able to work with them throughout the summer. Then we went over to Australia. Sinistera, the new boy, followed the traditional Leeds mantra, which is to get injured. So he's out, which, well, we don't know if he's going to be out for the Wolves game, but it looked like a hamstring injury, which is, minimum really 3 weeks. It was only about a week and a bit ago. So, yeah, that was a big blow. New summer signing as well, 25 million. So, yeah, aside from that, mate, it's been all right. It's not been too bad. We drew with Palace, got beat by Villa. And then I think we beat Brisbane Raw. Yeah, we beat Brisbane Raw in a game as well. So it's been a mixed bag as well, mate. I think it's probably been quite similar to Wolves. I've just had a look at a couple of your results as well, where it's been a mixed bag. But I don't know, Dave. I kind of do take some things from pre-season. You look at player performances, the fitness. You think to yourself, is this formation sort of working? So I do take a little bit from it, mate. But overall, probably a mixed bag.
Yeah, I would say it's always hard because you don't want to get too overexcited, but at the same time, with losses or you don't really want to sort of dwell on that too much. We've had it before where we've had disappointing losses against sort of League 2, League 1 sides, and the season tends to actually go all right. So it's just one of those things, really. The one big talking point for Leeds was obviously Calvin Phillips. There's been rumours about him for years, really, and this summer is finally the one where he's moved on to a team of such a high calibre in Manchester City, which I'm sure from a Leeds point of view, although he's gone, you're sort of happy to see that he's gone to such a top side. How have Leeds reinvested that money? How do you think they're going to adjust to life without Calvin Phillips?
So to be honest, Dave, I think, and I've said this, and it's not a popular opinion, in the Bielsa system, he was staggeringly good. And I
Yeah.
think that transition to the Pep system is going to be quite simple for him, really. You know, you've watched a lot of the Bielsa sides as well. I know you were a fan as well. And I think it's that natural thing where Pep's he'll have been on the phone with Bielsa 100%. He'll be saying, you know, where should I play and where's his best positions? And what I noticed as well, because I worked for the Manchester Evening News, and what I noticed as well was that for Man City, he's dropping in between the centre backs. He's becoming a centre back. He's going into defensive midfield. It's that versatility, which is what he was doing for Leeds United under Marcelo Bielsa. So when Jesse came in, it was a very regimented double pivot. Now, the regimented double pivot seemed like a little bit of a problem because he'd always been a single pivot, you know, dealing with everything that was thrown at him in that sort of bracket just above the defenders. So it took him a while to get used to it, and I don't think he ever did get used to it. So I think him moving on wasn't as cataclysmic for Leeds United as it would have been if Bielsa was still here. So we've invested the money in a ball winner called Tyler Adams, who Jesse Marsch has worked with before. Looks really good, a little bit like a terrier, breaker up of play, ball winner. I don't think technically he's that gifted, but we've almost split Calvin Phillips in two, really. So we've got the ball winning approach there from Tyler Adams, and we've brought in a lad from Bayern Munich called Mark Rocker, who played over 100 games in La Liga. Got him for 25 quid. 25 quid. We've got him for, I wish, mate. Yeah. We've got him for 10 million. I was thinking to myself, he's 25 years old, and I never said he's 25 quid. There we go. Hopefully that's not his sell-on fee anywhere. But yeah, so we got him for 10 million, mate. So we got him for a snippet. He's 25 years of age, and he's the distributor. So we've seen in pre-season that it's almost, they've almost split Calvin Phillips with these two, and it seems to be working quite well. Defensive midfield's not the problem, really. The other big man who's left is going to be the difficult one to replace, I think.
Yeah, of course, Rafinha's. I would have labelled, I think everyone would have labelled as Leeds danger man. And again, that one was going on for quite some time. And again, I suppose the only consolation for you guys is that he's gone to somebody outside of England, because I think you would have hated to see him join one of the teams, such as I think it was Chelsea and Arsenal, linked with him as well. Have you seen any replacements or direct replacements of him coming as of yet?
Yeah, I think to be honest, and I didn't answer the question before as well when you said, is it good to see him go to Man City? It is definitely good to see him go to Man City, because the other club on the other side were also interested in him. And Calvin did himself very, very well, because he was asked about it in an interview and said, look, I'd never go there. Never, ever go there. So we won't mention their name, Dave. But yeah, so that was good. We're all right with Man City. It's the other one we don't like. So, but overall, yeah, I think Rafinha's replacement is Sinisterra, which has been the problem. He's been absolutely unbelievable. Sinisterra for Feyenoord. He's been one of the Eredivisie's top players. So I couldn't believe it when we got him, to be honest. It was very, very out the blue, and a really good replacement. So we don't know how long he's going to be out. I think Jesse's going to be given an update at some point this week. But yeah, he was probably the more like for Rafinha, just an out and out winger.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think as fans, like, we've had the situation with Neves this summer where we didn't know whether he was going to stay or go. It looks like he's going to be staying, but I always thought, if we can get a good amount of money for him, yes, it's a big loss, but Wolves could easily buy 2-3 quality players to add to that team, and I think obviously that's what Leeds United have done. So it's going to be interesting to see how you get on. You've mentioned him already, Marcelo Bielsa. You've mentioned obviously your current manager, Jesse Marsch, as well. There's still a lot of Leeds fans that, adore Marcelo Bielsa, and obviously he did such a fantastic job at the club. I think it's obviously sunk in now because Jesse Marsch has been there for a number of months now. But what are your thoughts on him so far from the end of last season and obviously going into this pre-season?
It's a tough one, Dave. I think it's a very different way of playing, which is why it's going to be really interesting against Wolves. Really, really interesting, because what you'll expect and what you've seen from Leeds before, where it's expansive, and Wolves have really been able to hurt us. It's been 1-0 here, 1-0 there. And it's almost like you guys have suffocated us. We've not been able to break you down at all. It's very, very different now. It's very direct. It's very narrow. It's very compact. It's more sort of like off the ball work instead of on the ball work, which is literally the flip reverse of what the Marcelo Bielsa system was. So yeah, that's going to be fascinating to see. But I don't mind it. I think the pressing is very, very good. The criticism I have for it, Dave, is what he likes to do is sort of cluster press and counter press. So essentially, if you've got 6-7 players going towards the target, and the whole purpose is to recover the ball high, if you then don't do that, and you get a quality Premier League team being able to bypass that press, which we have seen in pre-season at points with like Villa and Palace, we're really in trouble. We're really open to the transitional counter-attack from the opposing side. So that's a little bit of the worry for me. So I think the elements of it that are, the systematic stuff, it's quite nice to watch. It's quite nice to see how good we are intense, with that sort of intense press. But I think I'm just a little bit nervous as to how successful that's going to be, because to be honest, Dave, that success rate needs to be about 90% if we're going to be able to get through most Premier League games. So yeah, good and bad, mate, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, obviously we didn't actually beat you guys last season. 0-0, 1-1, sorry, at Ellen Road, and then obviously that comeback win for you boys at Molineux, which was
that world class win,
which wound up a lot. Obviously, I was wound up, a lot of the Wolves fans, but that was obviously, I thought up until the red card we were all over Leeds. I thought we looked really, really good, and I thought Leeds have got to be careful here. And I think that was almost the start of our downfall in that season. And I think that guys gave you a little bit of a nudge to sort of wake up a little bit. Do you think if Bielsa was still in charge, that Leeds United would have stayed up there, or do you think they needed that change?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, Dave. I think we were on such a, because you'll know, mate, when it comes to, it almost gets to a point, I think, in a squad sort of trajectory and all this sort of stuff, where you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, we can change systems here, we can put different personnel in here, but at the end of the day, when the confidence is on the floor, what can you do, Dave? You literally cannot do anything about that. If the players have stopped believing in the system, which everything about Marcelo Bielsa, they have to buy into the system. If they don't, it's just going to fall apart. And for me, the system was breaking apart and the players were starting to question it a little bit. Now that was happening and we were getting absolutely thumped. We're getting thumped because it's a man-for-man system. If you lose your man, it opens up. This is why it's great to play Leeds for opposition if they feel that they are going to be advantageous in that 1v1 duel. It's tough for them, but if they can be advantageous there, then they're going to profit from it. So yeah, I think it got to a point where you saw some of our top players, Rafinha was probably the standout who was just getting really frustrated with it. You could tell. I think we'd have struggled to pick up 2 more wins, to be honest, Dave. I think it'd have been a real struggle. I think that's the one thing with Jesse Marsch. It is, and it's very cliche and very generic and very stereotypical, but that American voice coming in, and I know a lot of people have referenced Ted Lasso, which I get, but it is that, he came in, he gave them a fresh voice, which they've had the same voice for 4 years. So, someone fresh coming in with fresh ideas, I think gave him a little bit of a spurt, and he did all right. Jesse Marsch, towards the back end of the season in terms of points and overhaul. And I think Bielsa, to be honest, Dave, as well, they needed an arm around the shoulder, and he's a man manager. I think Bielsa was very, 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 standoffish. So I think all those things contributed to Leeds staying up. But under Marcelo Bielsa, I think, we were on a collision course. We really were.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like the situation we had with Nuno, where we had the same guy for such a long amount of time, and obviously it wasn't too drastic, but it just got to a point where it was a little bit stale. And I think sometimes a team does need fresh ideas, a different voice, like you said. And Wolves players were praising Bruno straight away that pre-season, because I think it's always nice to have someone different in charge. You've spoken a little bit about team news, obviously for Wolves. As of right now, Raul Jimenez is definitely not going to be part of this game against Leeds United. We're still unsure on the exact duration of his injury. Any major injury news by the players that you've already spoke about for Leeds?
Sinisterra is probably the big one, mate, and then Forshaw has got a bit of a niggle, I think, but I doubt he'd have started anyway. But aside from that, on Junior Firpo, the left back who hasn't really got started at Leeds. So yeah, mate, it's going to be interesting to see what happens up until the Wolves game, really, if we do bring in another left back. And seems every time I do these previews, Dave, I'm listing off about 3 or 4 injuries even before the season started. So I think those 3 are the sort of primary ones at the minute. I think Cooper's got a knock, but he'll be all right for it. But I think we've improved the depth a lot, so that's positive. But, mate, I think it's not as obvious as it was towards the back end of last season, which is good.
Yeah, so now we're going to look at our predicted 11. You can see mine on the screen right now. We've gone with a 4-3-3 for Wolves. Obviously, back 4 is what Bruno Lage has implemented throughout this whole pre-season, which is really interesting. Obviously, a change of system for Wolves. So this game against Leeds is going to be the first big test at a competitive level. So all being well, should be Jose Sarr in goal. Going with Ait Nouri at left back, Johnny at right back. I've gone with Kilman and Collins as the two centre-backs, but I think Cody could easily slot in there as well for either of those. A midfield three of Dendoncker, Matinho and Neves, and a front three of Podence, Neto and Gibbs-White. Obviously, it depends on that fitness going into the last week of the season. Conor, I've got the Leeds team up here that you've selected, predicted. What you're thinking?
Yeah, mate, I'm going to go Osila Mele in net. He's been very, very good in pre-season. I think we've had to rely on him quite a bit as well through those transitional elements, which I was speaking about earlier. Rasmus Christensen, who was the right back that we brought in from RB Salzburg. He's played under Jesse before. Two centre-backs, Robin Koch and Pascal Strauk, both about 6'4", 6'5" each, which is good. I think we need a real athletic physical prowess back there now consistently, staying away from injuries and just actually building up a partnership at centre-back. Left back is where it is getting a little bit interesting. Now, if Leeds are not going to be bringing anyone in, we have a left back in the 23s called Leo Yelder, who's performed quite nicely in sort of pre-season and a couple of the games towards the back end of the season. Then we're going to probably go, so it'll be a 4-2-3-1, I would suspect. So in the midfield, you go with Mark Rocker and Tyler Adams. And then from right to left, I would go with Joe Gelhardt, who's been on form. He's been on fire, actually, in pre-season. Ideally, you'd play him up front, but I think without Sinistera, we're going to have to rely on him just to be that man who, he changed it at Ellen Road against you guys, didn't he, Joe Gelhardt? He came on, he was fantastic. So hopefully we're going to be seeing a little bit more of him. So him on the right-hand side, Aronson in the middle, Harrison on the left, and Patrick Bamford up top.
What's going on with Dan James, Conor? Is he still a vital part of the Leeds team? Are you a fan of him, or?
Oh, I love him, mate. Yeah, I love a Ferrari without a driver. It's fantastic. Speedboat without a driver. Do you know what it is? Dave? We all had this. We were absolutely mugged off with the transfer fee completely. Worse, it went to them as well, and it was their fourth highest ever transfer incoming, which is painful to say the least. But he was unbelievable in pre-season against Brisbane Raw. I know you'll probably laugh at that, but he set up a goal, scored a fantastic sort of like right-footed finish, really nice. But he's just got, I feel like his football IQ, and you'll have watched him when he's played for Man United and Leeds and maybe even Swansea, but his football IQ just doesn't seem to be there. He just makes the wrong decisions consistently. He's very, very quick. But I think we all thought that under Marcelo Bielsa, because Bielsa's changed so many players and improved so many players, he would be able to do that with Dan James, but it just doesn't seem to have worked. So, yeah, he's nowhere near a starter for me, mate. He's nowhere near good enough. And he's really got to think about his career, I think. I think he's just got to work on a few things. Maybe, I don't know what I'm sure his work ethic's unbelievable in training and all this sort of stuff, but I just think he needs to work on a few things. Maybe just slowing himself down, making him a little bit more, composed and try and implement, I don't know how we do this, but like an improved concentration level. And maybe that comes with slowing down a bit, but it seems, mate, that his legs just go before his head, and it is a big problem because I don't think he'll ever succeed that way, and he is still only relatively young.
It's the exact same as Adama Traore, though.
That's it.
It sounds like the exact same scenario.
Dave, literally, he is Adama Traore without a gym membership. You know what I mean? That is the exact same thing. It's the exact same. But he doesn't go to the gym though, does he? Apparently. No.
So from very quickly from the lineup that I suggested, any Wolves players that worry you going into Saturday's game?
Yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White, if he is playing, I absolutely love Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he's a fantastic player. I can't believe there's rumours of Wolves letting him go. I don't know if it's confirmed, or I don't know if it's just a rumour. It probably is, as we always hear in transfer windows. But you can't let him go, Dave. You cannot, and you'll know as well. I covered Sheffield United for a bit last season for my work. Well, for a large part of last season, he's absolutely phenomenal in the playoff semi-final against Forest as well. He played as a false nine. I think that's where you put him in your starting 11 as well, next to a player called Ndiaye, and he was just unbelievable. He was the best player on the pitch. So I think he is a problem. He's a big, big problem. And I think that versatility that he's got to his game is going to make him very, very important for Wolves when, for example, maybe a Jimenez is out and maybe it makes you a little bit more fluid. I don't know, makes you change your play a little bit instead of just lumping it into the box for the big man. But yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White for me, mate, I think he's a special talent.
Fingers crossed. He's just a player that loves playing. He's so enthusiastic. Really enjoys
what you want, though,
playing
Dave.
football, so.
What you want.
Exactly. Yeah. But fingers crossed, it's going to be a big season. And Conor, thank you very much for joining me on Talk You All today. Where can people find you if they wish?
Yeah, if you want to come laugh at us. To be fair, I did when we did beat you 3-2 with the miraculous comeback. I did go straight over to Talking Wolves to check out Dave's reaction. He was sat in his car and he
That was
wasn't
it, yeah.
happy. He wasn't happy. So if you do beat us, or if you get a good result against us in general, come over to One Leeds fan channel. I'm sure there'll be a meltdown from me, basically just depicting Leeds getting relegated this season with just that one game, which has sent me over the edge. So yeah, come over to One Leeds fan channel if you fancy it.
Thank you very much. And obviously, anyone else that's watching this video, be sure to go and check out the Betmate game, Leeds versus Wolves. Obviously, one Leeds versus Talking Wolves. We want a Talking Wolves member to win it, so be sure to check it out. Let us know your thoughts ahead of the start of the 22-23 Premier League season. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you do, guys, and we'll see you all very, very soon.